Good evening. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us. The show is called This is the Day. We're live on Family TV, also live on Family Radio, and I'm your host, Medrin Nyambura. So I asked this question earlier. What are you insecure about? A couple of things come up. Body issues, how you feel about your money, how you feel about where you are in life. So I figured let's have this conversation and find a solution to how you and I can feel more confident about ourselves. In studio is an amazing lady who goes by the name Jennifer Nagel. I hacked that. I was asking you earlier. It's a bagel, so it's a Nagel. You're a counseling psychologist. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
For stopping
it's my
by.
pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So what are you doing in our beautiful country? Tell the people.
So I'm here in Kenya to do training seminars for helping professionals and for parents with the Satir Marriage and Family Institute of Africa.
Okay.
Yes.
And you managed to stop by. Thank you.
I did. Thank you.
So insecurities. Are there people who don't have insecurities? I was thinking about this in the morning.
That's a really good question. And I don't know that there's any person on this planet who doesn't have some kind of insecurities that come up sometimes.
Okay.
I think there are some insecurities. Some people are insecure a lot.
A lot,
and some people have a little bit.
Okay.
So we want to, how do we be more confident with ourselves?
Okay. Where do you think insecurities stem from?
They come from our early childhood, actually, from messages that we might receive from our parents or caregivers, or from what we hear others. Like we might hear our parents say, oh, I'm too fat, or oh, I'm too lazy, or something. And then we internalize these messages, and we don't even realize that we carry these messages with us.
Okay.
And then we get these critical voices in ourselves.
So let me ask, if I'm 5 years old and my mom is standing by the mirror and she says, I'm too fat, I get that as well?
Well, it's what you do with it. So you see your mom looking in the mirror and complaining about her figure or something. Okay. And you think, oh, then when I'm older, this is what I need to be. So you make some kind of message or some kind of meaning from what you're hearing.
Okay. From how early in terms of age does this start? Because sometimes your mom will make a comment, you're eating too much or you're eating too little. So how early are these insecurities formed?
It actually starts when we're really little. Okay. When we witness our caregivers, how they respond to stress or the messages they give. And so much is out of our conscious awareness. And when we become aware of it, then we can do something about it. But it starts when we're small.
Okay. So when you get these insecurities, I think sometimes, and we've mentioned before on this show, that parenting is a lot of work. And sometimes you don't know the best way to do it. So if I knew that saying I'm fat would affect my child, I wouldn't say it. So is this passed on from parents as well? Do they have their own insecurities, therefore they influence their children?
Yeah, because they grow up with the same sort of unconscious messages. And so the good news is, so parents do the best they can with what they know. And change is always possible. So it's becoming aware of it. But yeah, they have their own insecurities too, which we learn. So, and it's a learned behavior. We're not born insecure.
That's what I wanted to ask. I don't think God created us insecure.
No, not at all. When you come out of the womb, you're born with everything you need for vitality and for life.
Okay. And then you meet the world and everything comes crumbling down.
Yeah, because with this unpredictable world, we don't know what to expect. Okay. And then, we develop, how do I survive in my relationships? How do I survive in my family?
You start having all these walls and being guarded. Okay. Also, does the society feed our insecurities? Because there are things that are expected to be done either by man or woman. So does that feed that as well?
Oh, I believe so, yes. Because society and culture, there's these expectations and these rules about how we should be or how we should behave. And of course, social media and all the media.
Let's talk about social media. Instagram, it stresses the life out of me. Why does everybody have a cow on Instagram? I don't understand. Yeah.
And how many likes on Facebook and all of this and all this comparison. So a lot of our insecurities also come from comparing ourselves with other people.
Okay. You know, some people will argue that social media is not the evil, it's how we use it.
Exactly.
So don't you think it's a reflection of how you feel about yourself? Because if Instagram needs to tell you you're insecure, then you have a deeper issue than Instagram, right?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So it's how am I feeling about myself? So insecurity means I'm having some anxiety about me, or I'm comparing myself to somebody else who I think has it so much better.
Okay.
And instead of comparing, can we look at how am I different, or what do I have?
Yeah. Okay. What else do you think feeds insecurity besides social media and the society as well?
Well, we have this critical inner voice.
That one.
That one.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you call yours? I'm curious.
There's my judge.
Okay.
Yeah, where we judge ourselves. And what we forget is that underneath all our criticisms, like you're too lazy, or you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, we're so cruel to ourselves.
That is so true. Yeah.
So what is it that our judge is really saying? What does our judge really want for us?
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
what does your judge want for you?
Mine keeps telling me work harder. Work harder. You're only as good as your last show. So that's the thing that keeps going through my mind.
Which is a positive intention, right?
Yeah.
Positive intention. But then if you tell yourself you're not working hard enough, then there's a negative feeling to it.
Okay, let's talk about these bodies that Jesus gave us.
Yes.
Actually, God gave us to use to fulfill our ministry. And for some reason, nobody seems to be comfortable in their bodies.
Why is that?
I don't understand. Help me, you're the psychologist.
Again, I think we're socialized to expect that our bodies need to be a certain way, or I need to look a certain way. And it's interesting because different cultures have different ideals of what's an ideal body type.
That is so true.
You know, some cultures really value being bigger because it means you're healthy.
Are you talking about us?
I don't know, am I? Yes.
Okay.
And then some cultures value, you know, thin and or strive for some figure that's really nearly impossible to achieve. So I think a lot of it is how we're brought up, you know, looking at magazines and all
Those
of that.
magazines. You know, I read somewhere that the French government had decided to now write, if any photo has been retouched in the magazine, you need to write that for the sake of the young girls, which, you know, feeds into what you're saying, that young, these insecurities are formed at a younger age.
Yes.
But do you also find that the people we are with, the people around us, say a spouse or a cousin or a sister, can they also affect how you feel about your body?
So they can affect how you feel. Again, it comes down to how do you feel about yourself. If I'm feeling good about myself, then if somebody criticizes me, it's not going to get to my core.
Okay.
But if I'm not feeling good about myself and somebody makes a criticism, that it hurts.
Okay, I get. So it's down to me.
It comes down to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about what people love talking about: relationships. What do insecurities look like in a relationship?
Well, what don't they look like?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's, am I good enough for him, or is he good enough for me? Do I look okay? Is he going to like me for who I am? Insecurities, they can really get in our way of just having a healthy, happy, open, honest relationship with somebody.
Okay. Do men have insecurities? I need to know this. Do they?
They do. And I can speak, not that I can speak because I'm not a man, but I do see male clients. And I know that men do have a lot of insecurities because they have all these expectations, what they think society expects that they should be and how they should be.
What's the biggest one?
Well, for some it's finances. Can I provide? Do I have enough to provide? And for some it does come down to looks too, and body figure. At least in Canada where I live. How is it here in Kenya?
I don't think Kenyan men care. They are pretty confident in who they are. I don't think they do. But I'm very surprised when you say that, because it's us who are objectified, who are sexualized. So when you say men are insecure about their bodies, That's quite interesting. Are these grown-up men?
These are grown-up men. And when you say that men here are confident, that's your perception, right?
Okay.
So they might be putting on an air, I need to appear confident, so I'm going to act confident. But what's really going on underneath?
Okay, I hear you. And so when you have this man and this woman, again, women, sometimes insecurities are about looks. I am so tired of thinking about diets and how I need to look small, how I need to hydrate and all that. But when these two come together, isn't there a problem trying to run a relationship with two people who don't feel so good about each other or themselves?
Yeah, because how can they authentically connect with each other? If they're both insecure, the insecurities can get in the way of getting along.
How does that affect a relationship? Is it how you connect? How does it?
So it can look like neediness, like I need you to be with me all the time.
Is texting someone too much neediness?
Depends how often you're texting and what the intention is of your text.
Okay. Go ahead.
Or if there's, I need to know where you are at all times. Who are you with right now? So that can really, our insecurities and our anxieties can really, because that can start to drive people apart.
Okay. And do you know, when you're doing that, do you know you're insecure? Do you actually understand that?
Not always. I think sometimes it is out of people's awareness. It's just, if it's how they've always been in a relationship, they might believe that this is just how it needs to be. They might not know there's other possibilities.
Okay, so it's your truth. It's what you're used to.
It's what you believe is true, but it's not really your truth, because it's not how we're born, remember?
Yes, touche. Good one. Okay. And sometimes we find stories of domestic violence and abuse. And some of that people will say comes from insecurity. From your experience, is that true?
Yes, it is. Yeah, when we look at violent behavior and we look at what's underneath it all, it's about a fear of losing control. And sometimes if I feel like I need to be in control, and if they've experienced violence themselves, they might learn that this is how I get control through violence.
I get that, because insecurity means you're not secure. You don't have the security. I get that. I will also be looking at other aspects of insecurity and how that affects even how you lead your career, how you live your life. All that will be right back. You're talking about insecurities. Feel free to ask any questions. We have a psychologist, and it's also free. Get what I mean? You don't have to pay for a session. So send in your questions on 22316 or 0786 316 316, and I'll ask our guest the question. But we were talking off air, and I was saying we need to paint the picture of what insecurity looks like. What does it look like when I'm with someone? I'm secure, but they are insecure about themselves. What does that look like?
So, like I was saying before, it looks like neediness, or it looks like a constant need for reassurance. Please tell me that I'm okay. Please love me. But the truth is, no matter how much somebody reassures you, until you really feel that and believe that in yourself, nothing from the outside will fix that.
So are we saying that if you have a husband or a wife and their partner are insecure, there's nothing you can do about it?
You can definitely reassure, but yet, how often have you been in a relationship where you've needed to constantly reassure somebody?
Let's go back to the question. Do you think can I help someone who's insecure?
Can you help someone who's insecure? I'm trying to figure out how to answer that question, because really, the person with the insecurity, the truth is they need to do some of their own. They need to look at what's going on for them and where it's coming from. And so we can be curious. So if somebody I care about is insecure, I'm not going to write them off, but I can be curious about, where is this coming from? Where did you learn this? Or whose voice is or what is this? You don't need to be a psychologist to be curious about somebody, to not make assumptions. When we look at where it comes from, and like I said before, it does come from way back. And we're not always aware of that. So what do they need? So what do we as adults need? Like we need to be seen. I have a need to be seen for who I really am on the inside. And we want to feel safe. We want to feel secure. And we want to be soothed and reassured as well, which is the same thing that we need as
As
very
children.
little.
Okay.
When we form our attachments with our caregivers.
Okay, I hear you. We were saying also that, you know how before, and you mentioned this when I asked you about whether men have insecurities, and one of them is financial. So I'd get a man having insecurities about finances. I get it. I've had conversations with some. But when a woman in today's age, again, feels insecure about money, where is that coming from?
So again, it comes from that need for safety and predictability. If we look really underneath,
Okay.
and what does money mean to them? What does money? Because money has different meanings to people. So what do finances mean to people? Does it mean that if I have money, then I feel safe and secure? If I have money, I can be independent. If I have money, I can feed my family. What does money mean?
Okay. So how does this interfere with how you move forward in terms of, let's even look at career. How does that interfere with that?
With career?
Yes.
So again, we can have insecurities in our career. Am I doing a good enough job? Or am I appreciated in my career? Do people appreciate me? So insecurity can have so many different flavors, but it comes down to the same basic needs. We all need to feel accepted, and we need to feel acknowledged.
Okay.
And that we all need connection. So when we look at insecurity, no matter what flavor, no matter what that looks like, underneath it all, we all have the same yearnings.
Okay. So does that interfere with how far you go in regards to your career as well?
Well, yeah, because it can really stop us in our tracks. If I'm insecure about coming on television and being on the radio.
Are you insecure about being on TV?
I'm not saying that I am, but I am saying.
I'm kidding.
But I'll admit, you know, some insecurities do come up. Well, how will I sound? You know, those kinds of things. Now, if I give weight to that,
Yes.
because those are just voices, right? That's just my inner voice going, I wonder. The judge. And if I were to listen to that and give power to that, then I wouldn't be here right now.
Okay.
So insecurities can really stop us from doing things that would allow us to live more fully, more freely, with more peace and harmony inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear you. You know, I'm trying to think, is it possible to have children who are insecure, even though you are secure? Is it your responsibility as a parent to make sure they come out confident? Is that on me?
That's our hope. It is our hope. So as parents, it is our responsibility to do our best. So again, we do the best we can with what we know. We want to do our best to work on providing the yearnings. Like our children have a need to be loved.
Okay.
And they have a need for connection and for validation and belonging, all of these things. And so as parents, we do the best we can. Now, what happens is children make their own meanings about what happens.
Okay.
So I can be the most confident or secure with, of course, a few insecurities, but we can think we're doing a really good job as a parent, and maybe we are doing a great job as a parent, but it still doesn't control for what our children, what meanings they make
have
of
for
what
themselves.
they see and what they hear.
Okay. Okay. So how do I make sure I raise some good, confident kids?
So the 4 S's of secure attachment is we want to give them a sense of safety. Like, so providing for their basic needs.
Okay.
One of them being touch. And even as adults, do you know that we need 12 hugs a day to fully thrive in life? 12.
What do you mean 12 hugs?
12 hands?
That's a lot of hugging. So I need to hug 12 people a day.
It doesn't have to be 12 different people.
Okay.
We have a need.
You know, my producers are laughing because I'm thinking 12 hugs.
Yeah, you know, you could even right now just.
Yeah,
But we
nobody
need
hugs
to.
me. Yeah.
But we need to have some kind of contact with people. As children especially, and especially babies, we know that babies need to be touched and held, or they will literally die if they're not touched and held. So a sense of safety, a sense of security, a sense of being soothed. So, and we can't always, we don't have superpowers to know what all of the needs are at any given time.
Okay.
So we can't always, if I'm busy cooking dinner and my child is needing me, but I've got something on the stove, I can't run and tend to every single need as it comes up. So those are the kind of things that our everyday life, doing everyday things, our children can still make meaning. Oh, I'm not important because my mom can't be with me at this moment in time.
Okay.
So reassurance, soothing. How do we soothe our children when they're upset? So what did I say? The 4 S's, right?
Yes,
safety, security, soothing, and being seen. So can we see our children for who they are, not for what they do?
Okay. So they break a glass. I see them as what exactly?
So let's say they break a glass.
Yes.
That's the behavior, right? Now, did they break the glass accidentally or on purpose?
Probably not.
Probably not. So they broke a glass.
Okay.
So how are they feeling at that moment that the glass breaks? Are they scared?
Let me tell you, break a glass, an African mother will whoop you. There's no discussion about that. So kids, can I just go back to the 12 hugs, the issue of touch? Do we need touch as well as adults?
Adults, we do. Because when we touch or hug or whatever that looks like, it actually allows our brain, we release oxytocin, which is one of those feel-good hormones.
Yeah.
And so hugging is one of the things that helps us to release oxytocin.
Okay. I'm sure there are people who are thinking about their lives, hugging 12 times a day.
Who am I going to hug right now?
Yeah. No, we're not hugging.
No, right now.
We can't hug. That's why it's too big. I promise to hug you after the show. Also, how do I move from a point of being insecure to being secure?
Okay. So that, I want to say that is absolutely possible. So I think one of the things is we need to remind ourselves, who am I? How was I born? So when you think about, there isn't a single person on this planet who hasn't had some experience of feeling connected. You know, when you feel like full of vitality and bubbling inside and just connected with everything and yourself. So how does that feel?
You feel unstoppable, basically. Yeah.
And it feels like, exciting.
Why do I feel like you're canceling me?
Oh, am I? I want you to get in touch with your...
Okay.
But yeah, with that vitality, right? You feel connected, at peace, joy, sense of freedom. And in that moment, when you can think of whether it's when you're out in nature or whether you're in prayer and meditation, or listening to really beautiful music, something that just makes you bubble inside.
Okay.
In those moments, do you feel insecure?
Again, not a counseling session. Yes, but at the moment you feel very good about yourself.
There's no need for insecurity because you're really connected with your essence of who you really are.
Okay.
And so we can practice, like, how do I connect with that again? So we can think about, okay, when's the last time I felt that? And what was happening for me then? And how can I, even when we remember it, if you're thinking about a moment right now and you don't have to tell me what it is.
Listen, I don't like to interview psychologists because they see right through you. You can tell I remembered something. Okay.
I know I can tell. But what happens inside, right? Your energy, you feel alive. And so when we think about it, what our brains do with that is our brains don't know the difference between the past, the present, and the future.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about something in the past, but I'm remembering it. Those feelings are right here in the now, right?
Okay.
You're feeling that right now. And we can feel that in our bodies, we can feel that in our emotions. So we can actually practice doing that, remembering when we feel alive, and we can intentionally put ourselves in situations that help us connect with that.
Okay.
So when we remind ourselves of who we really are, then the need that all the other insecurity stuff can go by the wayside.
Okay.
The other thing, do you want me to keep talking?
Keep talking. Go ahead. It's fine.
So the other part is becoming aware of when we're being self-critical. When is our judge, and noticing. So catching yourself when you're making comments in your mind about, because we can be so cruel to ourselves.
The judge.
The judge. So catch yourself and then ask yourself, what is it that what am I wanting and needing right now? And I'm wanting a sense of security, or I really want to feel connected.
Okay.
So how can I connect? Right? What can I do to have that right now?
Okay. I hear you. I'll also be asking you how you communicate that to a partner and make sure that you're actually, you're talking about insecurities. If you're just joining the show, I'm pretty sorry, but we've already gotten ahead on what the sources of insecurities are, but not to worry. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on our website. That's familymediaonline.com. And on YouTube, it's just Family Media. Search for This Is the Day. You'll get all the videos. And because this is a shameless plug-in, while you're there, subscribe to our channel. Okay, I'm kidding. I'm not, you know what I'm saying. So let me ask, does it get better with age? Does it get to a point where I feel so confident about myself?
It can get better with age. Again, it depends on what we do with that. I've had clients who are 60, 70 years old, and they're still living in their old insecurities. So absolutely it can get better with age as we become, if we allow ourselves to work through all the stuff from the past. We can't change the past, but we can change the impact that we carry with us. That can change.
Okay.
So absolutely, there's hope, always.
That's good to hear. Also, how long would it take for someone to deal with it? Because sometimes people have baggage for years, and by the time you unpack that, so how long would it take, or is that individually
well, that's different? A good question, because, you know, there are sometimes people think, oh, this is going to take years of therapy. When the reality is sometimes when you get in touch with the source, like the pain of how it was, and at the same time, when you connect and reconnect, I like to say reconnect with who we really are, and you're in touch with that, and then it creates kind of a bit of a chaos because all my insecurities and the pain of that is over here, and all of this life and vitality and hope is over here. And when there's chaos like that, it creates a dilemma. And you know what the good news about that is?
Yes.
What side do you think wins out?
Of course, the reconnection one. Yeah.
So if you can really experience this, it can happen like that.
Okay.
It doesn't have to take years of therapy.
Okay, that's good to know, because sometimes you discover all these things, say when you're already married or you're already in a steady relationship, you're literally into your 30s, 40s, and you're wondering how to deal with it. So yeah that's good to hear. So if I'm the person who's insecure and I've tapped into that, you said earlier that you need to be aware. So I've caught it in good time.
Okay.
How do I communicate that to my partner? Because usually the one on the receiving end, it comes up as nagging. You are nagging. You keep asking where I am.
You're not home yet.
Yeah.
Where are you? It does come across as nagging. What does nagging do to people? Pushes them away, right?
Exactly. So how do I communicate that?
Okay, so you become aware that, okay, I'm really feeling anxious, I'm feeling insecure. So first, reflect on that. So what is going on for me? Why am I feeling this way? I'm feeling anxious. Well, underneath it all, what is it that you're really needing? Because I care. I want safety in our relationship. It's because I care. So how can you communicate your caring without... So the nagging is the behavior, right?
Okay.
Underneath it all is this yearning to connect.
Okay.
So I miss you. I can't wait to see you. Now that comes across as different than, where are you? Why aren't you here?
So you do the positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is the intention of your, so when you're aware that you have this insecurity, look underneath it. What is my need? What is my intention?
Okay.
I want to communicate that I care, that I miss you. I would love to see you more.
Yeah.
And how does that get received then by the other person? Totally different,
it's
right?
different, yeah. So why are we quick to jump to the negative?
You know, it's funny. Our brains are wired in a funny way.
Okay.
Because we are. Like it's almost like we're wired to jump to that negative part. And again, there's good news.
Yes.
Because we can reprogram or rewire our brains. So you know what that takes? Practice.
Okay.
So it takes practicing becoming aware. And then can we shift that message? So I'm not good enough. Can we change that to I am enough?
Yes.
Or can we, changing the messages that we tell ourselves. And we can actually retrain ourselves because we can learn up until, maybe 2 minutes before my death, but we are always, I want to be just completely at peace. But our whole life, we have our whole lifetime to grow and to learn. life would be boring if we just stopped learning and
right?
growing.
I've always seen this in, you know, when you come across people who write positive reinforcements and they have these sticky notes around the mirrors and they have these journals. Are those things that could help as well?
They can help as long as you have to really, words are just words.
Okay.
So but having positive affirmations, positive messages, and really feeling it when you read the words.
Okay.
Reading it out loud. So even if you made a list, you know, before I asked you about what that, don't worry.
Did you read my face?
I saw your face. But when I asked you about getting in touch with what that feeling is when you're connected, and if you were to write a list, if you were to write joyful, whatever the list is, but then if you write that list, and then in front of each word write I am joyful, I am peaceful, I am happy, I am connected. And if you read that list out and really connect with, I am these things, all the stuff outside of that, if you were to put that list in a circle, if you were to draw a circle, and then outside the circle, all those negative, the critical voice, the judge, all of those messages, that's just noise pollution.
Okay.
That gets in the way of who we really are.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So now that you know all these things, I have a question, Jennifer. Have you ever been insecure?
Of course.
Okay.
I have. Yes. You know what? One of my insecurities when I was younger, when I was in high school, was public speaking.
Look at God. Look at God. Now you're on TV.
And here I'm going to make a confession.
Yes.
I actually pretended I was sick to miss school so I wouldn't have to participate in a public debate. I'm telling this to you.
What? Are you serious?
I'm serious.
The only time I pretended to be sick was when there was some immunization happening. I didn't like that at all. Okay, so how did you get over that? Because now you're a speaker, you speak everywhere.
Apparently. Yeah. So, and I'm not going to lie, because that does still come up for me sometimes, but I don't give it the same power that I did back then. So I think what helped me was, again, looking at, okay, so who am I? Am I enough? If I fall flat on my face, does that change my worth as a human being or my value as a human being? So if that's true, then what's my job? My job is to just show up. Okay. Right? I can show up, and then
they say when you show up, you've done, or you've already done the 90% by showing up.
Showing up is really, that is the work.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you dealt with people who are insecure in your life, how did you deal with those relationships? Because we were having this talk off air, and we were saying sometimes, especially women, we feel the need to stay in relationships and fix it. And I have to remind myself, I'm not Jesus. But how did you deal with that?
Yeah, we do have this tendency to stick around and either hope that things will change, and sometimes we hold on to hope for too long after
hope moved on.
Hope moved on. Yes. Yeah. So dealing, again, it comes down to, like, if we're staying in a relationship when it's not healthy for us, again, it's like, so what are we getting from that relationship? And is it a false sense of security? Or is it causing us a lot of hurt and pain? Okay. And then what do we deserve to have that we're not getting?
So are we telling people to walk away?
That's a tricky question, because that is a tricky question. I think, again, if it comes down to, if there's a safety issue, if safety is being threatened, that does need to be addressed and looked at. Yeah. But and if we're looking at, I think, again, change is possible for anybody. So if there's a couple in a relationship, and if it's really rocky and not doing well, but if both have a commitment, and if they both are willing to work on it, to get the help needed, to be guided and to resolve, because usually what's happening between a couple is linked to, again, unfinished stuff from their past. Yes. So getting some professional help would actually help. Helpful. Okay. Could be helpful.
What are the 4 S's, so that we remember that even as we leave?
The 4 S's. Safety. Security. Soothing. And to be seen for who we really are.
Okay. You want the other person to make you feel seen.
To see me, not for what I'm doing, you know, with the broken glass,
Yes.
see the child. And I do want to
Yes.
encourage parents to really be curious. So what might be going on for my child? They broke a glass, yes, but how are they feeling? Scared, anxious, upset? What is their need?
Okay.
Because, you know, they might need soothing, or if it was an accident, can you see the child for who they are underneath all of that?
Okay. Sounds like people will need a lot of therapy. Thank you so much for coming through. We appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time. I know you're quite busy, but thank you so much for coming.
It's been a
and
pleasure.
come again. I asked you, have you tasted our food?
Yes, of course I have.
What did you eat?
Oh my goodness, am I going to remembe the names?
Okay, chapati, sound
Yes,
familiar?
of course, yes.
Ugali, nyama choma.
Oh yeah, that's the meat, right? Of course.
Yes,
I'm in
that's
Kenya.
the meat one. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your stay here.
Thank you so much.
Guys, I hope you've learned something. Let me tell you, every day I learn something new about insecurities. Remember, you need 12 hugs a day. But that's my highlight. Thank you so much for watching and have a good night.